Okay, let's just get right to it. When you're running apps in the cloud, performance isn't just a nice to have, it's literally everything. I mean, every single millisecond counts, from how your users feel about your app to what you're paying at the end of the month. That's exactly why we're diving into a really big deal today, a major performance upgrade to one of the most core AWS services out there, Cloudatch.
So here's a question for you. Think about your current Cloudatch setup. Is it as fast as it could be? Because there's a good chance you might be leaving a ton of performance on the table, and you might not even know it. Let's dig in and find out what's going on. All right, so for the longest time, the standard way we've all been talking to Cloudatch is through something called the AWS Query Protocol. And look, it works, it's reliable, it's been around forever. But in today's world where we're all obsessed with speed, efficiency, and shaving off latency, well, it's become pretty clear that we need something faster.
And AWS totally heard us. The solution? They've rolled out support for two brand new, much more performant protocols. These things were literally designed from the ground up to solve this exact problem, to be way more efficient and a whole lot faster.
So let's meet the new contenders. In one corner, we have AWS JSON 1.0, and in the other corner, we've got the super efficient Smithy RPC v2 Seabore. Now, both of them do the same basic job. They handle the communication between your SDK and the Cloudatch service. But how they do it? Well, that's where things get really interesting.
All right, first up, AWS JSON 1.0. Now, if you've done basically anything with APIs, you know JSON. It doesn't need a big intro, right? It's that familiar text-based format that's everywhere. This protocol just uses that to shuttle data back and forth. And even this simple change is a huge step up from the old, clunky XML-based AWS Query Protocol.
And then there's the other one, Smithy RPC v2 Seabore. The magic word here is Seabore. It stands for Concise Binary Object Representation. So unlike JSON, which is plain old text that you and I could read, this one is a binary protocol. The analogy I love is this. JSON is like sending a detailed, handwritten letter. Seabore is like sending a tiny, super compressed zip file. Both have the same information, but one is way smaller and faster for a computer to rip open and process.
So just to really nail this down, AWS JSON is your readable, compatible option. It's like that letter. Everyone knows how to read it. Super compatible. Smithy RPC v2 Seabore, though, that's the speed demon. It's that highly compressed, machine-optimized code. You wouldn't want to read it, but for a machine, it's incredibly fast and efficient.
Okay, so that's the what. Now let's get to the so what. Why does any of this actually matter for your workloads? I mean, who cares what protocol is running under the hood? Well, trust me, you're about to care. The performance payoff here is pretty staggering. Get ready for this. We're talking about a 50 to 80%. Yeah, you heard that right, 50 to 80% reduction in latency compared to the old AWS Query Protocol. That is not a small number. That's a game-changing improvement that you will absolutely feel.
So let's visualize this for a second. You can see AWS Query way up there with the highest latency. AWS JSON comes in and makes a huge dent, bringing it way down. But then look at Smithy RPC v2 Seabore. It's the undisputed champion here. In fact, just on the client side, the time it takes your app to prepare the data, Seabore is about 50% faster than even the new JSON protocol. It's just crazy fast. And it's not just about speed. The benefits keep on coming. Because those data packets are so much smaller and more efficient, especially with Seabore, you're also going to see a 10 to 20% drop in how much network bandwidth you're using. And what does that mean? Well, that translates directly into saving money on data transfer and better performance when your app is really getting slammed with traffic.
Okay, I'm guessing you're probably sold on these performance gains by now. So the next logical question is, how do I get this? The great news is AWS made this super easy to get started with. It's basically just a simple 3-step plan. All this new hotness is available right now in public preview SDKs. So, step 1, just figure out which language SDK you're using. Step 2, go grab the new public preview version of it. And step 3, the most important part, test it out with your application and see the difference for yourself. And check this out. This might be the best part of the whole thing. You don't even have to pick which protocol to use. The SDKs are smart. They automatically choose the best, most performant option for whatever language you're using. So, for example, if you're on Python with Boto 3 or .NET or JavaScript, you'll get the very compatible AWS JSON. But if you're using languages like Go, Java, or Rust, the SDK is going to go for the gold and give you that maximum performance boost with RPC-v2 Seabore. It just works. All right, now this is a public preview, so we got to be real about what that means.
Like with any new shiny thing, there are a couple of little quirks and potential bumps in the road you should know about before you just dive in headfirst. So specifically, there are two known issues right now. First, across all the preview SDKs, if you have a list with a null value at the very end, it's getting trimmed off. Second, if you're using the Java SDK v1, it's not serializing empty lists. Now, AWS has said they're planning to fix both of these before the official release, but for now, it's just something to keep an eye on when you're testing.
There are also a couple of bigger picture compatibility things to think about. If you've built any custom tools that expect to see that old XML format from AWS Query, yeah, that's probably going to break. Also, some open source tools might not be updated for these new protocols just yet. In those cases, you might just have to stick with an older version of the SDK for a little while longer.
But, and this is super important, don't panic. The old AWS Query protocol isn't going anywhere. It's still going to be fully supported. So if you run into any of these issues, you have a 100% reliable fallback. Nobody is forcing you to upgrade until you're ready.
So when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway here? It's really simple. Cloudwatch is now a whole lot faster. And the tools you need to tap into that speed, they're available for you to grab right now.
And that brings us right back to where we started, but now you have all the facts. Knowing that a 50, 60, even 80% drop in latency is just sitting there, waiting for you, are your applications leaving all that performance on the table? I think it might be time to find out.